Welcome, Mountain West fans, and hey, any Conference USA fans that are also watching to my bowl preview for the New Mexico Bowl, part of my annual preview of every Mountain West Bowl game. And this year is a very exciting lineup for the Mountain West. We've already done the Boise State versus UCLA preview, and now on the same day, we also have the Fresno State, 8-4 Fresno State taking on the runners-up in Conference USA, the 10-4 New Mexico State. Now, this game is going to be taking place Saturday, December 16th at 3:45 p.m. Mountain Central Time on ESPN. Fresno State given a slight advantage per ESPN, 54.2% chance of winning, but Vegas is giving the chance to New Mexico State, giving them the favorite with a 3.5 point favorite. So both of these, whether you're looking at ESPN or Vegas, or they favor different teams, are predicting a very close game that could go down to either program. And I do think that this is going to be a tight matchup. We'll talk about why in this video. We'll go through the series history between both these programs. We'll talk about any players that are going to be opting out or not participating in this game and how that will impact the matchup. We'll talk about the guys that will be playing, the key players for these programs, a key to the game for each of these teams, what they need to do to get a win, as well as summarizing at the end with a score prediction. So I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your score predictions. Put those in the comments below. Any thoughts you have on this game. I'm sure there's a lot of Fresno State and New Mexico State fans watching who are much more familiar with your programs than I am, and I want to know your thoughts on this game. And if you think I got it right or I got it wrong, I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching. Let's get into the preview. So like I said, this game taking place Saturday, December 16th, 3:45 p.m. Mountain Central Time. A nice primetime slot there for this game. And I think it's going to be one of the best ones of that weekend because these are two very good programs representing their conference. Obviously, New Mexico State, a 10-win program, the first time they've gotten to 10 wins since 1960, which is a massive accomplishment for this program. On the other hand, Fresno State, while they didn't end the season they wanted to, they were a top team in the Mountain West again. So you're going to see two great programs coming head-to-head. However, it's not going to be necessarily the same teams you saw during the regular season because there are some players who will not be participating. For Fresno State, the backup quarterback, Logan Fife, he will not be participating. He's been splitting reps with Mike Keeney down the stretch and due to some injuries as well there. So they'll all be Mike Keeney. There'll be no safety net. Logan Fife not participating. Also not a player, but head coach Jeff Tedford has stepped away due to health reasons. So Fresno State will have an interim head coach, and that will definitely have an impact on this game. For New Mexico State, they're going to be without their wide receiver, Trent Hudson, 551 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns on the year. So that, especially when you're talking about scoring, is going to be a massive impact for them. And then they are hopeful that he'll be able to play, but they are not sure. Their starting quarterback, Diego Pavia, he took an injury versus Liberty in their Conference USA championship game, and they are not 100% sure he'll be able to start. And since he's been such a big impactor on the ground game at all, even if he is able to play, if he's a little bit gimpy, that will definitely impact his ability to make the impact he would usually have had in the regular season on this game. Series history between these two teams, they actually have played quite a few times, 19 times, but Fresno State has dominated the series, 18-1. The first game was in 1972. Fresno State won that game big, 17-49. And then it was all the way until 2011, several matchups in between, but all the way until 2011 before New Mexico State was finally able to get a win in this series, a 48-35 point win. And then neither team met until 2019 when Fresno State won 30-17. So this is the first time that these teams have met in a while. It's been a rather one-sided, lopsided affair, but this is going to be a close game, as Vegas and ESPN are both saying this is going to be a close game. You won't know for sure which of these two teams is going to pull it out, I think, until we actually see the matchup on the field, because on paper, they actually are pretty decently evenly matched. And part of that paper is going to be these key players for them. Well, for Fresno State, it's going to be their quarterback, Mikey Keeney, 2,596 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He has been somewhat inconsistent throughout the season, but when he is passed for over 220 yards, they are 7-0. The games they've lost, when he's been under 220 yards, they are 0-4, including an 0-3 streak to end the season. Now, there were some injury concerns there as well, but the last 3 games skid to end the year all came off of Mike Keeney not playing up to his potential, what we saw earlier on in the season. For New Mexico State, again, injury bug could be hitting them as well, but if he's able to play, their key player is going to be quarterback Diego Pavia, 2,915 yards passing. So similar stats there to what Mikey Keeney's put up. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So a similar number of interceptions, a few more touchdowns for him. But he has been a massive threat on the ground, whereas Keeney has not been a runner. Pavia has been a massive threat on the ground. 856 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. If he is not able to play, then the key player is going to be the backup quarterback, Blaze, freshman quarterback for them. His first reps ever were versus Liberty. He played very well. As most of you guys know, or maybe you don't know because you're new to the channel, in addition to being a Boise State fan, I'm also a massive Liberty Flames fan. They're both my #1 teams. And so I've watched both of these teams play throughout the season and kept a close eye on both programs because how they did was going to impact either my Boise State Broncos or my Liberty Flames. So I'm coming at this from somewhat, yes, it's a Boise State Mountain West channel, but it is somewhat neutral perspective here on both of these teams. And he played great versus my Liberty Flames. First reps versus LU, 10 of 19, 134 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And he has a little bit of that Pavia in him. He was able to rush as well 4 times for 36 yards. So limited reps, but he has some potential. If Pavia is not able to go, this is somebody who could potentially step up and fill his shoes. Now, what do they need to do to win this game? Well, for Fresno State, what they need to do is to strike fast. This is not a team you want getting comfortable and feeling like they can hang around. New Mexico State came to the game scoring quickly versus Liberty, and they just traded blows back and forth, back and forth. It wasn't until late in the game that Liberty was able to pull away and get the win that they needed. Well, for Fresno State, when you have an interim head coach, when you have an inconsistent quarterback position, and you have a team that is on a somewhat downward slide. You were a program that was looking at going to the Mountain West Championship game. You'd beaten Boise State. You looked like you were on your way there, and then downward trend, lost to San Jose State, other losses to end the year, and suddenly looking at 8-4 playing New Mexico State versus going to the Mountain West Championship game with a chance to go play versus UCLA like Boise State sitting at right now. So for Fresno State, they need to strike fast. They need to get momentum. They need to pick up the energy, and they need a chance to establish themselves and establish dominance because you're basically playing in a home stadium for New Mexico State right now. I mean, you're playing in the New Mexico Bowl, so it's not New Mexico State Stadium, but it's New Mexico Stadium, but this is their state. You're playing at New Mexico State's home state. There's going to be tons of New Mexico State fans there. You are going to be outmatched when it comes to the fan group that is there supporting New Mexico State, and you want a chance to silence that crowd, to build up energy on your side, and also to get Mikey Keeney into it. Some quick passes to get him flowing to the game and then get that deep ball running versus New Mexico State so that Mikey Keeney can establish into his flow and get to that 220 plus yardage numbers that he needs to establish himself in this game and get that win for Fresno State. For New Mexico State, on the other hand, own this stage. Play like you're the home team because you are. This is your environment. This is your home game. There's going to be a lot of bias against you. Nobody is going to be taking New Mexico State seriously. Okay, they're 10-14, but they're out of Conference USA. The announcers right now, ESPN is giving the nod to Fresno State. Fresno State is a program that has Power 5 aspirations. In this last round of conference realignment, they were jockeying for that position and trying to find a way into the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or whatever was going to be happening. They were putting themselves out there. New Mexico State's a team that nobody's really even heard of because they've not even gotten to bowl eligibility most seasons, and they only just got to their first 10-win season since 1960. So this is a huge moment for New Mexico State, but even though they should be the team that has the advantage because they're the home crowd, because they're the team that has the better record with that 10-win record, and they're the team that has all the momentum and energy after beating Auburn and coming very close to knocking off an undefeated Liberty that's now going to the New Year's Six, even though New Mexico State should be coming in with that energy, with that focus, with that spotlight's going to be on Fresno State until New Mexico State steals it and puts it back on themselves. So for New Mexico State, they've got to come into this game with the confidence, with the energy, and use that crowd to their advantage to push themselves to a win in this one. This is going to be an incredibly close game because when you look at the stats across the board on both of these teams, they both match up quite well. Fresno State offensively averaging 274.1 yards per offense, passing New Mexico State 224.9. So again, both of them averaging over 200 yards passing. Defensively for passing, neither team's great at stopping it. Fresno State over 200 yards passing a game allowed. New Mexico State over 230 yards passing a game allowed. Rushing wise, New Mexico State actually has an edge. They've put up 202.7 yards per game rushing, whereas Fresno State, there's a weakness there. They've allowed 168.2 yards rushing while only putting up 104.3 yards rushing per game themselves. So when you're looking at both of these teams, Fresno State quarterback is a question mark because he's not played great down the stretch here, and they're 0-3 in his poor starts. No head coach, downward trend, but they should have the better roster. On paper, this roster should be better than what New Mexico State's putting out there, and they're the team coming in saying, all right, we're from the Mountain West, we're from the better conference, we should be able to get this win. New Mexico State, on the other hand, their quarterback, big question mark. Is he okay? Is he going to play? If he does play, is he going to be having any of that injury factor? Because if he's not able to run, he is a completely different quarterback. This is not a pocket passing guy. This is a guy that uses his legs effectively and uses that to set up the pass. So where is his mindset going to be if he is physically able to play? Is he going to have the confidence to play hard and to not play, risk averse? Is he going to be able to come in and play hard in this game? Massive, massive question mark for quarterback from New Mexico State. On the other hand, they have all the momentum. They have all the energy. This is their best season in years. This is the best season that probably 90% of New Mexico State fans remember. There probably is a massive chunk of the fan base that wasn't even alive the last time this team got to 10 plus wins in a year. So right now, this is their Fiesta Bowl. This is their best season. This is their moment, their opportunity, and it's all become because of Jerry Kill, the head coach. Jeff Tedford, Jerry Kill would have been a fantastic matchup to watch, but now you're watching Jerry Kill, probably one of the best coaches in the group of five, going up against an interim head coach. That is a massive mismatch. In addition to that, you also have the factor of the momentum, and you cannot discount momentum and mindset when it comes to bowl games. That is such a huge factor for determining a winner. So for my score prediction, I'm going to give New Mexico State the edge in this one. I think we're going to see an offensive affair. I think we're going to see a lot of yards, especially where those teams are weak. I think we'll see New Mexico State pound the ground. I think Fresno State go to the air, and both those teams find success in both those areas. But in the end, I've got to go with the established head coach, the head coach that got his team to their best record in their modern history versus an interim head coach with a quarterback situation that's up in the air a little bit right now, no consistent backup to go to, and a downward trend momentum for Fresno State. I'm predicting a New Mexico State win 37-28. So let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know your score predictions as well. Make sure that you like, subscribe. It's a Boise State focused channel, of course, but I do all Mountain West schools as well. I focus on all of their stuff, preseason and postseason, anything that impacts Mountain West during the year. I do a preseason preview of every team where I predict their overall records or what they're going to be. I take a look at what they're going to look like for that year. I do these bowl season previews, and then I do college football in general. Heavy focus on the West Coast, but if there's any general conference realignment news, I'm going to be all in that as well. So make sure you like and subscribe if you like any of that content. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and as always, go Big Blue!